Yeah, hi, my name is Glenn Gross and I'm the owner of Safeway Electric. And I get a lot of questions about GFIs and how to identify the terminals in order to wire up a GFI correctly. So on the back of the GFI, we can see here that it says line. And underneath this here strip of tape, we can see that it says load. And what we want to do is let's just focus on the line side for now. We can see that there's the gold color screw and the silver color screw, and what we want to do is we want to wire up the incoming power underneath these two screws on the line side of the GFI. The power wire always goes on the gold screw and the neutral wire always goes on the silver color screw. And the green colored screw is used for a ground, if a ground exists. If you have no ground, don't worry about it. A GFI does not need a ground in order to do its job. And what you want to do is you want to back out these screws just enough in order to pass the wire in through this hole so you can tighten the screw back down, and the plate behind here will cinch down on the wire and hold it securely to the GFI. Okay, so what I have here is I have the wire that we're going to use to wire up this GFI for this video. And what you want to do is you want to be real careful when stripping this wire that you don't nick it or gouge it with your wire strippers and create a weak spot in your wire. This is a piece of Romex wiring that I'm holding in my hand here, and this is probably what you have in your home, in your house now. And what we want to do is we want to make these wires here probably about 3/4 of an inch long. And what we're going to do is I've got this GFI all ready to go. I've already got the screws here on both sides and also the ground screw. I've got them backed out already, so we're ready to go ahead and slip the wires in place. So be careful, that this here plate back here of the screw doesn't come down. You want that in back, so when you slip the wire in, okay, the wire is in between the plate and this here screw, and you can see here that the wire is a little bit too long. There's some copper showing, so why don't we go ahead and just trim a little bit off. There we go. Slip it all the way in. That way the insulation, it butts right up to the back of the GFI and there's no copper showing. So why don't we go ahead and we'll tighten this screw down for now. And make sure it's really nice and tight. Make sure you're using the proper screwdriver. And you can get proper torque on it so it doesn't come loose. Now we'll go ahead and you notice that we hooked up the neutral wire first. And that's the best way to practice your wiring methods, is always hook up the neutral first, and then when you're doing your disconnecting, it's always best to disconnect the hot wire first and then the neutral. Alright, so I slipped the black wire in place, and we can see that it's still a little long, so we'll go ahead and we'll trim a little bit off so there's no copper showing. There we go. We'll slip it all the way in. No copper showing, and we'll go ahead and we'll tighten it down. Nice and tight. Alright, so we've got the hot wire, the power wire wired up. We've got the neutral wire wired up to the GFI now. And let's go ahead and install the ground wire. And what we're going to do is we're going to slip it right in place too, just like we did with the hot and the neutral. And then we'll go ahead and we'll tighten it down. Alright, so we've completely wired this GFI up. If this had any power on it, the GFI would come to life. There would be power at this receptacle, and it would be fully functional. And what you're supposed to do, if you were to read the instructions, is push this test button once a month, just in order to make sure that the GFI is mechanically operating properly, and it's going to shut off like it's supposed to if something was to occur. And then this is the reset button on the GFI. So if you ever lose power at your GFI, go ahead and hit the reset button, and then the power should come back on. And if it doesn't, you're going to have to do some troubleshooting, or probably call an electrician to come out and take a look at it and see why it's not functioning properly. Alright, so what we're looking at is a GFI wired up to the line side of the GFI. Let's say for fun that we had one caller ask, I would like to install a receptacle off the load side of the GFI, and would that receptacle be protected by the GFI? And that's absolutely true. In most cases in your homes, you have a GFI located like in the garage or in the restroom, and if that GFI was to trip, you would probably lose power to the other restrooms or to the outside outlet of your home. So for this video here, I would like to show you how to wire up an additional receptacle to the load side of the GFI. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get an extra piece of ground wire ready to do some pigtailing. And so here's a piece of wire here. We're going to simply pull out the ground wire from the sheathing, and then we're going to remove the ground wire from underneath the terminal on the GFI. And what we want to do is this wire here that we pulled out of the sheathing, we're going to use that for our pigtail to come back down to the GFI. And I've got this here ready for us. At the end of this wire, you can see that we have a receptacle that's going to be installed on the load side of this here GFI. So what we want to do is we want to take the ground wire and bring all the grounds together and get a wire nut, the proper size wire nut. Make sure all the copper right here is they're all like they're even with each other, okay? And simply put the wire nut, twist it until it locks down in place. It becomes a nice tight and secure connection, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to take this here ground wire, the pigtail that we made, and put it back underneath the terminal, the ground terminal on the GFI, and tighten it down nice and tight. Then I've already got the wires all ready and stripped, and what we want to do is practice good workmanship. Let's go ahead and hook up the neutral wire first to the load side of the GFI. And you notice I'm doing it underneath the silver screw. And once again, a little reminder, you can also look on the GFI itself, and it will actually say, white wire. Sometimes it says neutral wire. And then over here we're going to hook up the power wire, and here on the GFI it says hot wire. And most of the time the wire is either black or red. So there we go. Remember when you strip your wire not to nip the copper and create a weak spot. So there we go. We have this set of wires is the power coming in to the GFI on the line side. And then these wires here are wired to the load side of the GFI, which provides GFI protection down here to a receptacle in another location. So what this does, it allows you to have GFI protection in 2 different places by using only one GFI. So there you go. Pretty simple. So again, thank you for watching my videos, and whatever questions you have or whatever videos you would like to see, just send a request to Safeway Electric and we'll be sure to get that up there for you.